The morning sun had barely risen over the quiet highway outside Phoenix when the life of a struggling single dad changed forever. Noah Carter had been awake since 4 a.m., rehearsing answers for the most important job interview of his life, a job he desperately needed to keep the lights on and food on the table for his 8-year-old daughter, Grace. His old car rattled as he drove, each mile bringing him closer to the office where he believed everything might finally turn around. But fate has a way of interrupting the plans of even the most determined hearts, and Noah had no idea that before the morning ended, he would make a decision that would cost him what he thought was his last chance, only to give him something far greater in return. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of doing the right thing even when no one is watching, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep telling stories that remind the world how beautiful humanity can be. The road stretched endlessly, carved through the desert landscape like a ribbon of hope. Noah kept glancing at the clock on his dashboard. His interview was at 9 a.m., and he calculated that with normal traffic he would make it just on time. But as he approached a wide bend in the highway, he noticed a car pulled over at the shoulder, hood open, smoke curling into the cool morning air. And next to it stood a young woman in jeans and a light jacket, waving desperately at passing cars. Noah's foot hesitated on the gas. He told himself he couldn't stop. He couldn't risk being late. He couldn't afford to lose this job. But as he passed her, he caught a glimpse of her face, distressed, exhausted, scared, and the memory of all the years he and Grace had been stranded with a dead battery and no one stopping to help slammed into him. He sighed, pulled over, and reversed down the shoulder toward her car. The woman let out a shaky breath as he approached. Her name, she said, was Brooke Hamilton, and she had been stranded for nearly an hour. She had no family nearby, her phone battery had died, and every passing driver pretended not to see her. Noah saw how her hands trembled, how her voice cracked when she spoke, and something inside him softened the way only hardship can soften a heart. Before she could finish explaining what happened, Noah rolled up his sleeves and got to work under the hood of her car, his fingers navigating the tangled machinery with the skill of someone who had spent long nights repairing his own battered vehicle for years. The desert wind brushed against them as he worked. Brooke stayed beside him, watching him with gratitude as though he were a miracle she never expected. Noah tried not to think about the minutes flying by, about the interview slipping further and further out of reach. He told himself he could still make it. He told himself they would understand. But deep down, he knew he was losing his chance. When he finally managed to get her car started again, he checked the time and felt his stomach sink. It was already 9:24 a.m. The interview was over. Brooke saw the disappointment wash over his face and felt a guilt she couldn't shake. She offered him money, offered to drive him somewhere, offered to help in any way she could, but Noah simply shook his head. He smiled, though his eyes dimmed with the weight of failure. He said he couldn't take anything for helping someone in need. Kindness wasn't a transaction to him. It was who he was. Brooke didn't know what to say. She watched him walk back to his old car, dust clinging to his jeans, the morning sun outlining him like a quiet hero returning to a life no one saw or appreciated. As Noah drove away, he fought back the weight pressing against his chest. He imagined telling Grace he didn't get the job. He imagined the bills on the kitchen counter, the past due notice from the landlord, the worry in his daughter's eyes whenever she noticed him skipping meals so she could have enough. He thought of the interview he had prayed for, the chance he needed so much, slipping through his fingers like desert sand. He held the steering wheel tightly, forcing his breathing to steady. He had done the right thing. He knew that. He just wished doing the right thing didn't hurt so much. Meanwhile, Brooke watched him drive away until his car disappeared into the haze of the highway. She didn't go straight to her destination. She sat in her car for a long moment, thinking about his worn-out shirt, his calloused hands, the tiredness behind his smile, and the sincerity in his voice when he said he couldn't take anything in return. People like him, she thought, were rare, and too often overlooked. She felt an ache in her heart, a feeling that this man's story wasn't supposed to end like this. Not today. Not because of her. Later that afternoon, Noah arrived home to find Grace sitting on the porch with her school backpack still on her shoulders. She ran to him, hugging him tightly, her curly blonde hair brushing against his cheek. She asked him how the interview went, and Noah forced a smile. He didn't want to burden her with his disappointments. He simply said he tried his best. Grace looked into his eyes, as though searching for something, and though she didn't understand everything, she sensed enough to hug him again, holding him with the fierce love only a child can give. Noah spent the rest of the afternoon looking through job listings, sending applications, and trying not to let hopelessness creep in. The sun dipped behind the rooftops, and the warm Arizona evening faded into a cool, quiet night. He cooked dinner for Grace, tucked her into bed, and sat alone in the living room with a single lamp casting a weak glow across the room. Every corner of the house whispered reminders of how much they had lost since his wife, Hannah, passed away 3 years earlier. Yet every corner also echoed the determination he refused to let die. He would find a way. He always did. He had to. For Grace. The next morning, Noah was washing dishes when he heard a knock at the door. He assumed it was a delivery or maybe a neighbor, but when he opened it, his breath stalled. Standing her was Brooke Hamilton, the same woman whose car he helped on the highway, but now dressed in a sleek blazer, carrying a leather folder, and looking far more confident than she had the day before. Noah blinked in confusion, wondering if he was dreaming. Brooke apologized for showing up unannounced, but she said she needed to see him. She asked if they could talk, and Noah, still bewildered, invited her inside. Grace peeked from behind the hallway, studying their visitor curiously. Brooke smiled warmly at her before turning to Noah with a serious expression. She told him she owed him more than gratitude. She owed him honesty. Brooke explained that she wasn't just any woman stranded on the highway. She was actually the operations director of a fast-growing tech company in Phoenix, and yesterday she had been on her way to evaluate candidates for an important department, one of which was the job Noah had applied for. Noah stared at her, stunned, realizing the weight of what she was saying. He whispered that he knew he missed the interview, and that he understood if the opportunity was gone. Brooke shook her head. She told him she had watched countless candidates walk through her office over the years, people with polished resumes and perfect answers, but she had never seen someone give up the most important chance of their life just to help a stranger. She said that kindness, integrity, and selflessness were qualities no degree or experience could teach, and she believed her company needed someone exactly like him. Noah felt his throat tighten as Brooke told him she wanted to offer him the job, right there in his own living room. Not out of charity, not out of guilt, but because she genuinely believed he deserved it more than anyone else. Noah closed his eyes for a moment, overwhelmed by emotion. He had spent years fighting battles alone, believing the world didn't care about people like him. But now, standing in front of this woman he barely knew, he felt something shift inside him, something warm, something hopeful. Grace watched in awe as her father finally let himself smile, a real smile that softened every line of exhaustion on his face. Noah accepted the offer with gratitude so deep he could barely put it into words. Brooke assured him she would personally help him get settled at the company, and she told him she hoped this job would be the beginning of a brighter future for him and Grace. If this story has touched your heart, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support keeps these emotional, life-changing stories alive. Before we end, please comment below. Kindness always returns. As Brooke left the house, Noah stood in the doorway holding Grace's hand, watching her walk toward her car with a grateful smile. He realized that sometimes the blessings we pray for arrive in forms we never expect. He had missed his interview, yes, but in doing so, he had found something far greater. A reminder that kindness is never wasted, a new beginning for his family, and the faith that good things still find those who choose to do what's right, even when no one is watching.